A bank robbery so perfect it left the police scratching their heads. No alarms, no guns, no violence, just pure genius. This is the story of Albert Spaggiari, the man who pulled off one of the greatest heists in history and vanished like a ghost. Ready to uncover this incredible tale? In the summer of 1976, Nice, France, became the stage for a heist that left the world in awe. Albert Spaggiari, a man both charismatic and cunning, masterminded a daring plan. His target? The Société Générale Bank, famous for its unbreakable underground vault. But Spaggiari proved that no vault is truly unbreakable. What he and his team achieved became one of history's most remarkable crimes. Spaggiari's plan was not just smart, it was incredibly well thought out. Breaking into the bank directly was too risky because of alarms and heavy security. Instead, he came up with the idea to dig a tunnel from underneath the bank. To do this, he rented a small shop close to the bank. On the outside, it looked like an ordinary business, but inside, he and his team were secretly working on the heist. Spaggiari brought together a group of experts to make the plan work. He hired tunnel diggers to dig underground, engineers to make sure the tunnel was stable and wouldn't collapse, and scuba divers to handle the wet, water-filled sections of the sewer system. For 2 months, the team worked quietly and carefully. They dug through the sewer system, removing dirt and rocks a little at a time so they wouldn't attract attention. To keep the tunnel safe, they used fans to bring in fresh air and reinforce the walls with strong supports to prevent them from caving in. Every single step of the process was planned to make sure they wouldn't be discovered. On July 16, 1976, Albert Spaggiari and his team finally carried out their daring plan to rob the Société Générale Bank in Nice, France. The robbery had been in the works for months, and Spaggiari's idea was to dig a tunnel into the bank's underground vault. This would avoid setting off alarms or alerting anyone. The team had already spent weeks digging the tunnel. They entered through a sewer system near the bank and carefully made their way underground to the vault. It was hard work, but they were patient and precise. By the time they reached the vault, they had all the tools they needed to break inside without rushing. The timing was perfect because it was a holiday weekend and the bank was closed. This meant no employees or customers would come in, giving the team uninterrupted hours to work. Once inside the vault, they opened safe deposit boxes and stole cash, gold bars, and expensive jewelry. By the end of the robbery, they had taken more than $30 million. Spaggiari's team didn't just commit a crime, they became legendary for pulling off one of the most famous bank heists in history. When the bank employees returned, they were stunned. The vault was completely empty, and there were no signs of anyone breaking in. The police launched an investigation and eventually discovered a secret tunnel that led from the vault to a nearby shop. It turned out the thieves had dug the tunnel over months, working quietly to pull off the heist. Spaggiari, the mastermind behind the plan, was arrested. But the story didn't stop there. During a court hearing, Spaggiari shocked everyone with a bold move. He calmly asked the judge to take a look at some new evidence he claimed was in his briefcase. While the judge was distracted, Spaggiari suddenly jumped out of a second-story window. He landed on a car parked below, causing a loud crash but escaping unharmed. Outside, a motorcycle was waiting for him, and within seconds he sped off into the distance. Despite an international manhunt, Spaggiari disappeared without a trace, turning his escape into one of the most famous in history. After Albert Spaggiari escaped from the courtroom by jumping out of a window and riding off on a motorcycle, he disappeared completely. He fled France and made his way to South America, where he lived under fake names for many years. Even though police searched for him worldwide, he was never caught. Spaggiari reportedly lived in countries like Argentina, where he stayed hidden and seemed to enjoy his freedom. He even sent letters to friends and journalists. mocking the police for failing to catch him. Some stories claim he secretly met with a journalist and talked about his daring heist and life as a fugitive. In 1989, it was reported that Spaggiari had died from cancer, but no one could confirm it for sure. Many people believed he faked his death and continued living in secret. His story became legendary, but it also reminded everyone of the pain he caused to those who lost their money and valuables in the heist.